The other piece of this that is very interesting that we wanted to look at is what was Trump's influence on all of this, if anything?
Yes.
And it was complicated because Trump had backed McCarthy, right? And even there was a question once McCarthy looked kind of weak, would Trump stand by him or would he let him just twist in the wind?
Yeah.
He came in and he, put on his Truth Social and said it's time to come behind Kevin McCarthy or whatever he ultimately said. So you have that faction, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene over there, who of course very like MAGA-aligned figure. But then you have Matt Gaetz, who is another very MAGA-aligned figure, who is on the other side and really the most visible and vocal part of the Never Kevin contingent. And it didn't seem during this process like Trump was really moving any votes. After he came out and put out that message and said, hey guys, it's time to come behind Kevin McCarthy, there wasn't a single vote that actually moved in terms of Kevin McCarthy's favor. So it was very interesting after the fact, after McCarthy is able to win the speaker's gavel, who is the person he wants to make sure and indicate that they were important and that their support really mattered and really influenced people? It was Donald Trump. Let's take a listen to what Kevin McCarthy had to say.
But I do want to especially thank President Trump. I don't think anybody should doubt his influence. He was with me from the beginning. Somebody wrote the doubt of whether he was there, and he was all in. He would call me and he would call others. And he really was, I was just talking to him tonight, helping get those final votes. And what he's really saying, really for the party and the country, that we have to come together. We have to focus on the economy. We've got to focus, make our borders secure. We've got to do so much work to do, and he was a great influence to make that all happen.
Just amazing. Well,
yeah, what'd you make of that?
Crystal, you're right, though, that he eventually did, but his initial statement did not say to vote for Kevin McCarthy.
It did nothing.
He endorsed Kevin McCarthy, and then he was like, well, maybe, and he was pressed repeatedly by the reporter at NBC News. He's like, are you endorsing Kevin McCarthy? And he just said, we'll see what happens. Whatever happens is going to be great. It's only after McCarthy called him and basically begged him to do so that he came out for him again. I mean, look, Trump did throw him under the bus when it actually mattered on when McCarthy was at his most precarious, he did not have Trump's support. It was only after there was movement in some of the negotiations that Trump decided to come on the bandwagon. And look, Marjorie, with the famous photo,
yeah,
trying
we
to
have
hold
that.
up.
Let's put this up
yeah,
on the
let's
screen,
go ahead and put
guys.
it up there on the screen.
It's kind of incredible. So what you see here is she's holding up a phone to one of her colleagues, Congressman Rosendale, who was, on the not voting for Kevin McCarthy side. And you can see on the phone, it says DT,
yes,
as in Donald Trump. So she's literally got the president on the phone. She's trying to get this dude's attention to talk to Trump so that Trump can try to talk him into voting for McCarthy. And he has his hand up, just completely blocking it. And apparently he shouted repeatedly, don't you ever do me like that, to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right,
so.
yeah, because he was like, I'm not taking Trump's phone call. So I think this has much more to do with the Tea Party, with the House rules, and with actual power for this group than it does to do with Trump. And that's actually terrible news for Trump. I always have to remind myself he is an active candidate for president of the United States. Like, he's not doing rallies. He's just like sitting in Mar-a-Lago. I have no idea what he's doing. I'm sure he's fundraising, I guess. He's been truthing, but his actual power projection, sure, he can get Kevin McCarthy's of the world to, bow down and grovel before him right now. But like, does it matter? Because he could barely deliver the votes in the first place. And to the extent that the votes were delivered, it didn't have anything to do with him. It had to do with what they wanted in the first place. I see this as a major weak episode for Trump. I really do.
Yeah, it's really fascinating too. I mean, just even the ideological direction of the party at this point, it shows a real weakness for Trump because, ultimately his core insight in 2016 that allowed him to prevail shockingly in the Republican Party primary and then shockingly again in the general election was that people really liked the attitude. They really liked the sort of populist rage and anger that some of the Tea Party members had and their willingness to buck the establishment and that sort of like affect people really liked and responded to. But the actual details of the policy, they hate, right? This, let's cut Social Security, let's slash spending, let's have government shutdown, all that stuff, which, by the way, under Trump, they didn't use those levers to try to force social spending cuts. The actual details of what the party stood for when the Tea Party was the dominant ideological force was really unpopular. And so he kind of put those two pieces together of, I'm going to moderate on economics. He famously, obviously changed their positions on trade deals. He obviously changed their positions in terms of, he came out and said, we're not going to cut Social Security. So he recognized that there was a lane for someone to take a different course on economics in the party, but maintain that pugilistic attitude that people really liked and responded to and wanted to see. And that was a real ticket to success. But of course, Trump long ago abandoned any sort of real ideological framework. So again, in the absence of some other ideological project, this is what the Republican Party is always going to default back to.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right way to say it. Overall, in terms of Trump's power, it just really looked like a very weak episode. But also look at McCarthy. I mean, he has to grovel now.
He still has to grovel.
This is again, like, I don't know why he would ever want this
Kevin.
job. Yeah,
That's
I'm
what
like,
Trump calls
you have no power. You are beholden to Trump, and you are beholden to the Freedom Caucus. Like, you yourself, you can wield nothing. I actually put it out on Twitter. I'm like, why would you even want to be speaker when you're the weakest one in a century? And Ryan Gerdusky actually had the best reply. He's like, because you make a lot more money as a lobbyist when you're a former speaker.
That's
and I was like, that is actually the only point. And somebody else was like, vanity, because he wants his picture in the House Speaker's Gallery. I'm like, all right. I mean, I guess it's worth it. Humiliating on the world stage.
He strikes me as the type who's been dreaming of this since he was like 4 years old.
I think I said that. The classic student council guy in high school, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what it strikes me. And then, the ability to I mean, look at Paul Ryan. He's made in the shade in terms of his financial positions.
He's got his SPAC. He's a multi-millionaire. He's on the Fox board. I see him around here in town all the time, on the street.
Boehner's he's like on some weed
He's
company
a weed
board
lobbyist.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy is going to be just fine, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Good point.
Hey, guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.